All right, today we're cracking open one of the darkest legends in Hogwarts history. We're talking about a hidden chamber, a terrifying monster, and a mysterious heir who holds the key to unleashing it all. This is the central mystery of Harry Potter's second year.
So, our story doesn't actually kick off at school. Nope. It starts with Harry Potter stuck back on Privet Drive, just desperate to get back to the magical world. But before he can even think about packing, a very strange visitor shows up in his bedroom with a really dire warning. And that one warning just sets off this insane chain reaction that's going to threaten the very heart of Hogwarts. And who delivers this warning? It's this terrified house elf named Dobby, who just appears in Harry's room. This poor guy is so desperate, he's literally punishing himself for every tiny secret he almost spills. But his message couldn't be clearer. A terrible plot is about to unfold at Hogwarts, and Harry must not, under any circumstances, go back. And Dobby isn't just talking. To make sure Harry can't go back, he completely sabotages a dinner party, sending a pudding crashing down and landing Harry with a barred window, courtesy of his furious uncle. So Dobby's warning, it's not just a message, it's an act of magical chaos that leaves Harry completely trapped.
So, after this wild rescue in a flying car, thanks to the Weasleys, you'd think Harry's problems are over, right? Well, think again. They get to King's Cross Station and bam, the magical barrier to platform 9 3/4 just seals itself shut. With the train gone, he and Ron make a pretty crazy decision. They fly the enchanted car all the way to school and end up crash landing right into the Humping Willow. I mean, what an entrance. It nearly gets them expelled. So, they finally get inside the castle, and for a little while, it seems like maybe Dobby was just being a bit dramatic. But that all goes out the window on Halloween night. Something truly horrifying is discovered in a corridor on the second floor.
Yeah, check this out. Scrawled on the wall, in what seriously looks like blood, is this terrifying message. And hanging by its tail from a torch bracket right below it is Mrs. Norris, the caretaker's cat. She's not dead, but petrified, just frozen solid. This whole scene just brings this old spooky legend bubbling back to the surface. A dark story about one of the Hogwarts founders, Salazar Slytherin. The legend says he built a secret chamber and hid a monster inside. A monster that only his true heir could unleash to, cleanse the school of anyone who wasn't a pureblood. And just like that, this old ghost story, it doesn't feel like a story anymore. It feels real.
And it doesn't stop there. The attacks just keep coming, and each one is worse than the last. First, it's a cat. Okay, scary. But then it's a first-year student calling Creevy. A little while later, a student and a ghost are petrified at the same time. And then the horror gets personal. Hermione Granger becomes the next victim. The whole school is just gripped by fear.
So, you can imagine the panic, right? Everyone's trying to figure out who this heir of Slytherin is. And then, during this completely chaotic dueling club, Harry, he accidentally makes himself the #1 suspect. So Malfoy conjures up a snake, and what does Harry do? He just talks to it in its own language, Parseltongue. The craziest part is he has no idea he's even doing it. But everyone else, they notice. And since that's the famous trait of Salazar Slytherin himself, the entire school starts thinking Harry's his dark descendant.
Okay, so to get Harry out of this mess, Hermione comes up with this brilliant, and let's be honest, super rule-breaking plan. They're going to use Polyjuice Potion, this really complex brew that lets you turn into someone else for a while. And who are they targeting? You guessed it, Draco Malfoy. They're convinced he's the real heir.
Well, the plan to grill Malfoy, it's a bust. He's not the heir. But things just get weirder. Right after that, Harry stumbles upon this old, completely blank diary just lying in a bathroom. Turns out it belonged to a student named Tom Riddle, who was at Hogwarts 50 years ago, the last time the Chamber of Secrets was opened. So while Harry's getting totally sucked into the past through this magical diary, Hermione is where she always is, the library. And right before she gets attacked herself, she pieces it all together. She figures out exactly what kind of monster is roaming the castle. This is just heartbreaking. Harry and Ron find this crumpled up page clutched in Hermione's frozen hand, and it explains everything. So get this, the monster is a basilisk, a giant serpent. Its direct gaze kills, which explains why no one's dead. Every single victim saw it indirectly, through a reflection or a ghost. That's why Harry's been hearing voices in the walls. It's been slithering through the pipes. And it also explains why the spiders were fleeing and the roosters were all dead. It's all connected.
So they've just figured out what the monster is, but then the who it's after takes a truly horrifying turn. A new message pops up on the wall, and this whole mystery instantly becomes a frantic rescue mission. Ron's little sister, Ginny Weasley, has been taken down into the chamber.
Okay, so Harry follows the spiders, yikes, gets some clues from Moaning Myrtle, and he actually finds the entrance to the chamber. But then there's a rock fall, Ron gets stuck, and the professor, Lockhart, turns out to be a total fraud who erases his own memory. So, Harry has to go in alone.
So deep, deep under the school, Harry finds Ginny just lying there, pale and cold, and standing over her is Tom Riddle. But he's not just a memory anymore. He looks solid, alive. And that's when Riddle drops the bombshell. The diary isn't just a book. It's a dark, magical object that's been possessing Ginny, forcing her to open the chamber and control the basilisk.
Riddle just starts taunting Harry, pointing out all these creepy similarities between them. Both orphans, both half-bloods, both raised by muggles, and the big one, they can both talk to snakes. He's trying to get in Harry's head, suggesting they're basically the same person right before he reveals who he really is. Then, with just a flick of his wand, Riddle rearranges the letters of his name, Tom Marvolo Riddle, and they spell out something new. I am Lord Voldemort. He's the younger version, the memory of the dark wizard who killed Harry's parents. The heir of Slytherin. Was Voldemort this entire time?
So, the big reveal is out, and Riddle summons the basilisk. The final battle is on. And this is way more than just a kid fighting a snake. It's symbolic, right? You've got Harry with Fawkes the Phoenix and the Sword of Gryffindor representing everything Gryffindor stands for. And on the other side, Riddle is wielding the darkest parts of Slytherin's legacy. It's an absolutely desperate fight. Fawkes the Phoenix swoops in and blinds the basilisk, which gives Harry a fighting chance. He scrambles up this huge statue of Slytherin and just drives the Sword of Gryffindor right through the roof of the serpent's mouth. He kills the beast, but as it dies, one of its fangs, full of deadly venom, sinks right into Harry's arm. So the venom is spreading, fast. It looks like it's all over. But then Fawkes, Dumbledore's incredibly loyal Phoenix, lands right next to him and cries into the wound. Phoenix tears, it turns out, have incredible healing power. They neutralize the venom, and just like that, Harry's life is saved. And with what little strength he has left, Harry grabs that broken fang and stabs the diary. He destroys that piece of Voldemort's soul, and Riddle just vanishes. So after all that chaos, Harry finds out that it was Lucius Malfoy, Draco's dad, who slipped Ginny the diary in the first place. And remembering how Dobby tried to protect him, Harry comes up with a clever trick. He hides a sock inside the ruined diary and tricks Lucius into handing it to Dobby. When Dobby catches the book, he also catches the sock, and that single piece of clothing is enough to set a house elf free. Later on, Harry's talking to Dumbledore, and he's scared. He confesses his biggest fear. If he has all these things in common with Voldemort, what makes him any different? And Dumbledore's answer is really the core lesson of the whole story. He reminds Harry that the Sorting Hat wanted to put him in Slytherin, but it sent him to Gryffindor because Harry chose it. As Dumbledore says, it is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. Which really leaves you with a powerful question, doesn't it? If the abilities we're born with don't define us, then how much of who we become is just built, one choice at a time?